in the grand scheme of things, it is, and it's, I suppose, we're in the, I guess, a privileged position whereby we can actually stop people going into homelessness, because we also hear those monthly figures about the homeless numbers. So at least we get to say, well, we were also working away, and we were able to prevent this many households, and it was 746 households altogether, which was actually 981 adults and 703 children. So, a significant number of people who either got to stay in their home, or had the information supports and direction to be able to go and source a new home for themselves. So that's really kind of our main focus when someone comes to us after receiving a notice of termination, is to make sure they don't have to go down the route of homelessness.
And in Clare, I understand charity was quite active as well.
Yeah, we have renters coming to St Clair as well. We want renters around the country to get in touch. So, in Q4 of 2025, we assisted 183 households in Clare who came to us. Just over half of them, actually, it's close to 60% of the new households we worked with in Clare had received a notice of termination from the landlord, and that's quite high in comparison to the national figure. So these are households, whether it's individuals, families, a group of people sharing, who actually had that written notice from their landlord, and they got in touch with us about that. And that's always quite a worrying time for anybody. The having to go look for someone new to live is daunting, and then not knowing, will you get somewhere in your local area, will you have to move far away, what's the impact of that going to be. So 6 and 10 of the new households that got in touch in Clare actually had received a notice, and about another 15% got in touch because they were worried their landlord was going to end the tenancy, and that might be because of a conversation that was had. Maybe the landlord said something, maybe it was an offhand remark, maybe it was a text to say, look at lads, I think I might be finishing up, I might be selling the property. So we're there to advise people what their rights and entitlements are, and what their options are if it does come to that.
And just finally, Anne-Marie, new rent reforms that have come into effect since the start of this month. I suppose, first of all, they'll increase the minimum duration of a tenancy to 6 years, which on the surface will give more security to tenants. But if there is a situation where the tenant has to leave in the middle of a tenancy, you will see rents put back up to the market rate by the landlord, or at least they can do so. So where do you land on them as a housing charity? Do you think they're going to protect renters, or do you think they could have some unintended harsh consequences?
Yeah, it is a difficult one, because the security of tenure measures on their own we're really supportive of. Someone being able to have a minimum of 6 years in their tenancy, knowing that the landlord, that they get to stay there. It's only in the very rare instance their landlord will be able to end the tenancy where the tenant has done no wrongdoing. That's what we've always focused on. If you're paying your rent, minding the home, you should be left there. So those changes are hugely positive. But the flip side is, of course, the provisions that are in place that would allow a landlord to increase the rent to market rent at different intervals, would depend. So as you say, if somebody voluntarily leaves the home, they can raise the rent for the next incoming renter. And we are concerned about that, because we see, as it is, when someone has to move home and go rent somewhere new, they do have to pay a higher rent already. And that's with the previous rent rules in place. And we've not seen any modelling to show what this might look like. So we are concerned. But what I would say is, as of today, nobody should be receiving a significant rent increase or anything like that. Like the rules coming in on Sunday didn't mean that all of a sudden rents can start going up. So certainly, if anyone has received a notice or been told their rent is going to go up significantly, get in touch. We definitely check in with us about that, and we'll look at the scenario and see what the person's rights are.